نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The second part of the video that I was talking about the verse of Khatam-un-Nabiyeen, and I'll just continue where I was. I was quoting verse 761. Allah's Prophet Noor said, "O my people, no wondering is there in my mind." And I asked, is this negative? And the answer to that is no. And again in Surah Araf, Ayat 79, my Br AnAhmadi, on this ayat you're confronted with your proposition, in which you really need to make your determination. The first part states, so Salih left them, saying, "O my people, I did indeed convey the message, you the message for which I was sent by my Lord. I gave you good counsel." Now we can all agree that this is positive. Again Allah joins the statement with the word walakin, and goes on to say, "Ye love not good counsel." If you value the ayat as a whole, including the word not, then you cannot ignore the word not in the previous quoted ayats, i.e. the verse of Surah Yusuf, "It is not a tale invented," which I hold as not being a negative statement because of the word not changing its value. And this applies to the other quotations. So here if you accept not as a changing factor, then the second part becomes negative, in which case you would have to accept that the other verses do not have this so-called negative positive factor. What is most important to understand in this ayat of Khatam-un-Nabiyeen is the topic of discussion in the first part of the ayat, yani Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. Because what is absolutely necessary in istidrak or nafi is that when join the two parts together, the first and second part, the topic must be the same. And here is the clue to the meaning of the ayat itself. The first part is a prophecy and confirmation with regards to sulbi fatherhood of the Prophet, that he will not have any sulbi walad. This is to the Jews of the time. They actually thought that Muhammad's his mission would come to a close when they viewed him as Abdar. So it was meant here that Muhammad's mission would be up when he was no more. This is what they assumed, but Allah negated this with the statement that but he is Rasulullah, meaning from these same men would be appointed to Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam men to carry his mission forward for their Ruhani father. In other words, this is a negation. What is known is Nabiullah are always the fathers of their nation, and in the time of the Yahud, when one prophet died, another prophet took his place. And in past we know of them being the sons even of the Nabiullah. For example, in the case of Yaqub, we had Yusuf, who Yaqub was also the son of Ibrahim. So it was a continuation. And this is, if not the son, then at least another Nabiullah came in his place. What's important is really what I want to say is the positive negative argument does not in any way support your notion for Ummati Nabi, because there is no indication of this. Even if we accept your explanations, in fact it to some extent works against your notion, being that from these Ruhani Walad of the past 1300 years before Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, nobody ever made the claim, nor did Islam need these Nabiullah, since Allah had completed his deen. And any guidance that he needed to give us from time to time could be given via the awlad of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, yani the Ruhani awlad. There are many issues that are outstanding here, such as the method of tafsir according to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the difference of Rasul and Nabi according to Jamaat Ahmadiyya, the grammatical meaning of Khatam or Khatim with the Kasra or Fatha, the understanding of being the final as being negative or positive as a connotation. This is a debate really which with much depth, and one which cannot be carried out on YouTube with its 10-minute limitations for videos. If anybody wants clarification on these points, I would be glad to provide it to them if they mail me on any of the points, but I don't wish to go into long lengthy videos. This I had perceived really, and hence I try to avoid this area of debate, but at the same time I don't wish to seem avoiding the subject for an ulterior motive, so hence my attempt to answer on as short as possible a basis. Furthermore, another point really is that you infer that our version of Khatam-un-Nabiyeen is in actual fact a curse upon Islam, because it has been deprived. It's like a deprivation of prophethood, meaning something positive that comes to an end is bad. In that case, the same applies to law-bearing prophethood. The end of law-bearing prophethood would also be a bad thing. All I'm trying to prove here is that not all good things that come to an end are a bad thing, and the last 1300 years of the time from the time of Sallallahu are enough evidence in this regard. No prophets came, but the Ummah was kept alive by the Ummatis. When people deviated, Allah sent Hadi to us, but not a prophet. Also, another point to consider is the words Khatam-un-Nabiyeen. Now, the words Khatam-un-Nabiyeen are plural, meaning after Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, at least 3 other prophets must come. This is according to the translation used for this verse, that the meaning is actually not closing the door of prophethood, from above, but all that will come will be through Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, below, because he is the kingmaker, so to speak. Also, there are hidden keys in the grammatical makeup of the Jumla itself, Khatam-un-Nabiyeen, especially with the usage of Alif and Lam. Again, if you need help with this, I would be glad to direct you to the source of information, but I don't wish to bore the listeners with this point. I would like to close with just a few statements on the previous topic, however, and if any other questions arise out of this issue of Khatam-un-Nabiyeen, then I will only really answer them by means of direction to other sources without the long-winded answers on YouTube, or the alternative is that we arrange a program with a pre-agreed agenda and with pre-agreed rules at a pre-agreed time and place and a pre-agreed duration. All this being obviously of mutual consent between myself and Br AnAhmadi or anybody else who wants to take it up with me, and all the cost I am personally willing to bear for this task. And I'm really prepared to debate with anyone you wish on this. But I want to quote you a few quotations. First of all, quotations by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad himself. One of his quotations goes like this: "Don't you know that the merciful Lord of the Magnificent has called our Prophet ﷺ as the last of the prophets, without any exceptions, and that our Prophet also explained it in one of his noble sayings, that there shall be no prophet after me?" And then another quotation: "How is this proper and permissible for me that I should claim prophethood for myself and thereby throw myself out of the pale of Islam and join the party of the infidels?" What is ironic is that Mr. Mirza's view that at that point was that anybody who conceived this type of idea was outside the pale of Islam, and he was considered as a capable scholar of his time. And yet when the Muslims hold this same view, the Ahmadis hold them in contempt as if they are jahil and understand not, Your claim is basically that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad became a Nabiullah through being the Walad Ruhani. You claim that by being this Tabe